Excelente, etc.
Thrill me.
Be afraid. Be very afraid.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Horror Flicks and Guitar Picks podcast. I'm your host, Tim, and I'm joined once again by my weekly co-host, Steven. How's it going, man?
What's up? I don't know what these finger things are, but I'm doing them.
I was about to say, if you're listening, he did a little dance. It wasn't just silent, awkward silence this time. But and of course, this time we're talking about Zach Cregger's follow-up to Barbarian, Weapons. Before we dive into that, do you have anything that you have been enjoying music-wise, or even something horror-related that you've seen recently?
You just blew my brain because we do this podcast and I'm realizing that, like, we record it and everything. I'm not factoring in the idea that not everybody's going to listen to this on video, YouTube or whatever. So if I do some stupid, like, only video awkward silence, it doesn't translate. That's awesome.
And I'm so used to doing just audio because I did like 300 episodes of strictly audio episodes before you joined. I mean, of course, I post clips and stuff, but so I'm
That's
like,
so funny. That's
like what I'm
classic.
adapted to. You know what I mean? Is being like, oh, and in
Classic
case you haven't
Steven
seen
Goof.
it.
Hey buddy. Yeah. As far as new stuff, I saw Weapons, which we're gonna talk about. But
Okay.
what else did I see? I saw the Superman movie.
Oh yeah.
Um, and I am not a superhero. Like, I don't go see the Marvel movies, even though I heard the Marvel movies freaking nuts.
Yeah.
But it's not something I go seek out often. I don't really care about them. But I had a friend that was going and was just like, "Hey, you want to come along?" And I was like, "Sure, why not?" I just like any excuse to go to the movies if I can make it work. And I really liked it. It was
Oh yeah.
fun. I think 90% of the movie was more so just my love for all dogs. And there's a heckin' good boy in this movie. So I was really excited about that. But yeah, it was fun. I don't know. I had no, I don't really have any opinions on superhero movies.
Yeah.
I did watch Smallville in high school. I watched every season except for the last season. And then I waited so long to watch the last season that it felt like I'd have to rewatch it all. And I was just like, dog, this is early 2000s when seasons were like 24 plus episodes. I was like, I'm not reinvesting into this because I think it's like 12 seasons long or something crazy like that.
Yeah.
I don't
They had a
know.
long ass run for sure. My parents used to watch it, so I've watched a lot of it, but not like
Uh-huh.
everything. But I will say it was a solid ass show. The only problem is my biggest gripe with Smallville is that they had so much happen to Superman with all these big
Mhm.
ass villains before he ever
Oh,
actually
sure.
was Superman. So I'm
Yeah,
like, you're telling me he's
it's
already
true.
faced fucking Darkseid before he's even super. I know you might even not
I
even
don't know who
notice.
that is.
That's like the Thanos of the
Oh,
fucking.
okay.
But and they had him in like a few episodes towards like the end of the show and stuff because they were running out of villains. You know, like it made sense when it was just Lex in the first few seasons, but
Sure.
once it became like he was facing Darkseid and fucking Brainiac and all these people, and
Mm.
it's like you should not be facing them before you even don the suit, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, it's
so
funny. I definitely picked up that show too, just on a whim. Like, it was, I mean, I guess it was at that time, it was like you did just watch TV shows, you know?
yeah,
Um, and then also I remember thinking Lana Lang was just hot. And I was
oh
just
yeah,
like, I'll watch this show. She's hot.
full
Um,
full what's the word I'm looking for? Confession, I guess. Yeah, full
sure.
confession. I think her name's Allison Mack, the one that was the
Oh
one that
yeah.
is now part of like the cult and shit. The,
Yes, yes.
the one that showed up at Michael Rosenbaum's house and was like being weird as fuck. I don't know if you heard about
Mm.
that, but
Yeah, oh,
she's
yeah.
like yeah, she's like part of like a sex trafficking cult thing
Crap.
now.
What's it called? Like,
I want to say it
shoot.
was MK Ultra, but I don't, it's not. It's
No,
something.
MK Ultra
It's
is
like
the
yeah, it's a
government.
that's in my head because that's something I did is went and saw JK Ultra the tour for
Oh,
the last podcast. That
hell
shit
yeah.
was fucking hilarious, dude. But anything else? Did you enjoy anything else other than Superman or any music stuff? I know
Uh,
your boys in Drain put out. we both like Drain, but they put out a new
oh yeah, they
single.
got a new single today. I haven't listened to it yet. Is it good?
It was pretty good. It threw me off.
Yeah.
It's a little more singing. It sounds like similar to their Descendants cover. You know what I mean?
Oh,
So it's
I
like a
love
little
that
more.
cover.
Because I like that cover, I liked it, and so like I don't mind their singing stuff. I'm kind of
Sure.
one of those people that it's like the same thing when Scowl started doing it. Like I like it when it's like still integrated with their heavy stuff. It just bums me out when they go full that way
Yeah,
after like
yeah.
a few
I
albums
know what
because
you
then I'm
mean.
like, Like I still want the heavy stuff, like, but I don't
Yeah.
mind. Like I like this stuff too. So it's nice when you still get both bands. But once they kind of make the
Mhm.
full, I don't see Drain making the full switch like Scowl though, because it's a little different like
Yeah.
appeal band wise and stuff. So
See, anything else? There's the film festival that's coming up, so I've been like helping watch and uh review and judge some of the submissions.
oh fuck yeah,
So mostly been watching that kind of stuff, which that's been fun. It's like kind of getting me really like amped up for Halloween season. So yeah, if you're listening to this and you're in the North Carolina or Virginia area, we have a local Halloween. It's actually an international Halloween film festival, and it's located. The event is going to take place at the Pioneer Theater in
oh,
Manteo, North Carolina, which I'm sure you'll probably be there for at least a few of the nights if you can. But
yeah.
I'm stoked. It's going to be fun. So
No, hell yeah. Now I'm pretty much my plan is if I work that day to come after work and enjoy what I can of it, and then if I don't work that day to be down there first thing and enjoy the whole thing. So now,
yeah. I think it's supposed to be scheduled out. Don't quote me. I don't think it's finalized, but it sounds like each day will be like uh two blocks of like shorts and a feature every night or something like, or it might be a block of shorts and two features for every day.
oh yeah.
So it should be good. So
Did y'all get the Mutilator 2? Was that submitted?
I don't know if I'm allowed to say what we're getting.
Oh, true.
But
That's out on Amazon Prime though, so I feel like it's
yeah.
not a. I mean, I guess it might spoil. I guess you'd have to worry more about the people that put on the fest than you probably
Mhm.
would Bud Cooper and the crew of
Sure.
Mutilator 2.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He probably don't give a fuck, but
But but yeah, there might be some hook dwelling things. I don't know. I say no more.
yeah.
But
Oh yeah. By the way, the cult was Nexium. That's why like I was
Nexium.
yeah, it's all spelled with like spelled like fucking Elon Musk kid's name. So
Yeah,
it's
I
like
was gonna say like
Nexium.
Elysion or something like that, but that sounds like a drug you see a commercial for.
Yeah. With like 1,000 different side effects. You
Yeah.
might you might shit out a liver, but
Penelope, whenever those come on, she groans so hard, not just because she's like this commercial's boring, but she's like, who would take any of these drugs when it says you're gonna explode diarrhea and it'll kill you? I'm just like, it's a fair point.
if you have
So
suicidal thoughts, it's like, what if
yeah.
I die first? What if I don't make it? What if those thoughts win before I stop taking the medicine?
Yeah, seriously. Goodness gracious.
That's some other
Anyways.
shit. If you want to kill your family, call your doctor immediately. Like that, what? What? No, fucking. Some of that shit's wild. It's like if you
Dude,
feel uninhibited rage, it's like what?
that should be a horror film.
Yeah,
Like, why isn't that a horror film where like it probably is, but like a medication causes like a psycho. I mean, I'm sure that's been done. I'm
yeah.
clearly like just not allowing my brain to think of that. But done from the perspective of it starts off as that commercial, which then kicks off like this spiral out of control situation would be kind of hilarious. I don't know.
I think it would work best as a short. I think the problem with doing it as a feature film is if you do the commercial early, then
Mhm.
people are immediately going to realize, like, once the stuff starts happening, like, what, because you're going to have to, like, emphasize the commercial, you know what I mean? Unless you kind
Sure.
of pull, like, a Jordan Peele, where, like, at the beginning of Nope, while they're getting the ranch together, you hear about the missing hikers. And then, of course, like,
That's a
that's
fair
the
point.
nickel.
Yep.
Like, that's about as obscure you could do it. But then, of course, the marketing and so. But the biggest issue with that is I feel like that's a twist that sounds good, but if it happened, people are gonna be like, "That was fucking stupid."
Yeah,
like,
probably.
like just because I'm like, that's the type of thing. Like people hate on the end of Hereditary just because it ends up being that it's actually like happening. It's
Oh
not
yeah,
all in her
yeah.
head, and I feel like that's exactly the thing with like if somebody was like, "Oh, her medicine was just making her like it was a side effect of her medicine." Her
Hmm.
fucking tummy ache medicine, like
Hmm.
people will get angry. I like the idea, but I feel like it works better as a short and or like a episode of like Twilight Zone or something.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like we got to do it. So,
Because if it's not a movie, you're not having to promote it like that. You know
yeah,
what I
that's
mean?
true.
If
That's
it's
a
like an
fair point.
episode of something or like a in the middle of like an anthology or something, it's a lot
Well,
easier to like
what if that's just the what kicks it off and then that's like the trailer is purely just the commercial and all you're like it's a commercial for some prescription drug and that's all but literally the film opens up with just the commercials on and then the person that's taking it all of a sudden is like, oh gosh, I'm having one of these reactions, and it just is them calling whoever their doctor is, and then it just spirals and goes completely into whatever
Yeah.
happens in the film. It would just be an interesting, like, I guess, like bait and switch. You know what I mean? So I don't know.
No, that would be the way to do it because if you immediately jumped in, kind of like our film that we're talking about today, Weapons
Mhm.
jumps right in, which is we'll get to in a second. But no, if you immediately jumped into something like that and then had them like kind of spend the first half like transforming into something that the second half can be spent like a
Mhm.
creature or something that goes on, or that would be kind of cool, yeah, for sure. And they could even
Mhm.
just go after the people like big pharma or whatever.
Mhm.
But no,
Yeah.
yeah, we might have a movie on our hands. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Millionaires.
Oh yeah. But no, other than last podcast on the left, which I mentioned, which
Oh
they were
yeah.
fucking awesome. I was so glad to finally see them live. I will say I expected it to be more side stories ish, and it was more like an actual like live podcast. But they did show like some videos at the end,
Mhm.
of course, some like plus and shit. So I was
Uh-huh.
like stoked on that. But I went and saw Modest Mouse live for the first time. They were great.
Oh,
They're a
sick.
band that like I like their hits, and I even like some of their like a little bit more obscure stuff because my wife is
Mhm.
such a big fan. But she's seen them like 4 or 5 times. So when this one got announced, I was like, I immediately wanted to get her tickets, but I was like, instead of getting her and a friend ticket, I like wanted to go this time and like just check them off the list. So we went and did that, and that was super fun. And then that was the weekend before, so literally we spent like back-to-back weekends. We went to Richmond for Modest Mouse on Browns Island, and then the following week when we went to Durham for last podcast on the left, JK Ultra
Nice.
tour. Uh, also went and saw Haywire. That was fucking insane. That was awesome. I
Oh yeah.
definitely, if Haywire is doing like an 80 city tour, I think they got like just like a couple weeks left. So if you're
Mhm.
out there and haven't seen them, definitely check that out. Other than that, I went and saw Together. Dude, I fucking loved Together. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I know
I need
some
to
people
see
are
it
like
so
on the
bad.
fence and stuff, but and I will say it's like one of those films that I understand people that are like, oh, it's like it's good, but it's not like great. Like I understand
Mhm.
that, but because that's kind of like a good segue like into the film that we're talking about today is like that's kind of how I feel like I'm on the few people that actually preferred Together to Weapons, and it's only because I think
Mm.
expectations were lower for Together. um
Okay. Yep.
so I would say Weapons is probably the better movie, but I just had more fun watching Together and would watch Together
Hmm.
probably more in the future because it's such a fun watch compared to
Interesting.
Weapons, which is a good watch, but just different. But no, I really enjoyed Together. I loved the chemistry between Allison Brie and Dave Franco. I mean, they're married. They've been together for over 13 years from what some of the stuff I saw.
Hmm.
That's what I picked up on because they were talking about like 13 years ago and stuff like that, like
Sure.
on that vanity lie detector test and stuff. But so I've been watching a lot of that promotion after seeing the film, and I definitely really enjoyed that. But both of these films were films that I really enjoyed, but I'd say would probably end up in my bottom half of my top 10 if they end up in my top 10, just because there's some
Hmm.
other films that really stand out strong for me, like, Sinners.
Hmm.
I'm a big fan of The Monkey. That's another one that some people hate on.
Yeah,
But
I like
also
that.
really, there's another one that's like really up there for me that didn't come out too long ago, but oh, Bring Her Back. That's like high up, a little bit high up for me and stuff. So, no, there's just
Hmm.
a couple other things that stick out above these films, um, but now we can dive into Weapons. What was your expectations going into Weapons, and like what was your overall thoughts walking out of the theater? Was your expectations met?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I for this one for I don't know, there's every once in a while there's like a movie that comes out and I can just tell by either like the initial teaser marketing that I really just don't want to know anything about it.
Yeah.
Um, I think that's kind of how Barbarian was for me. Um, I was like, yeah, I don't really need to see anything else. I'm just gonna go watch it. And then it was, it was a surprising blast, and it went in a lot of directions that I didn't expect it to go. Um, Weapons, I felt like I think I just saw the imagery of the kids like running out of the house, and that was it. And then like I never watched any of the trailers, and I'm usually not like a like I can't watch a trailer kind of person, but I didn't want there to be any kind of I didn't want to have any expectations as far as like what the lore was, whether this was going to be like a supernatural film or like a thriller or what. There was just something about it. And so I held off, which thank God I did because I felt like that gave me just like a really fresh, like way to ingest this movie. There was a bit of hype because it took me at least like 5 days, and that's just the downfall of like how quick the internet is now. But
Especially with
luckily
early
nobody,
screenings and stuff. So many people get early
yeah,
screenings. So yeah.
luckily nobody was like spoiling it. But there, and it definitely heard people say like, "Oh, just go in like with an open mind." So then, of course, that makes you start thinking things. And then some people were like, "It's kind of funny," And so I'm just like, "Oh, like I really don't know what to expect." That being said, I really enjoyed it. I mean, it was cool. And in a weird way, like it's not, it wasn't very horror driven in my opinion.
Yeah.
Um, which is fine. I don't need, I mean, there's plenty of movies that I like that are considered horror movies that aren't like 24/7 horror. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I just liked it. I thought it was an an interesting story. I liked the narrative pacing as far as how it blocks out, per individual, and you're getting the different perspectives. And I really liked I think the central villain and the payoff when that reveal happens, to me, that was, I really loved that plot. And
Yeah.
so that made the movie solid for me. If it went in a different way that I wouldn't have liked, then I think all of that buildup probably would have been like, okay, this movie kind of dragged me along for something that I didn't like.
Yeah.
So I was happy with all of the how it came to. But yeah, what about yourself? Like, were you disappointed, or were you like, was your expectations, met?
Well, I will say that like I never felt disappointed at all, but I definitely
Mhm.
felt like when I walked out, I was like, that was fine, but like not in a way of like just fine, like not like that's
Sure,
just
I know what you
fine,
mean.
like but like I was like that was good, but like I guess because the twists and turns, I'm gonna try to stay spoiler free until I get to the end of just talking about my expectations and overall thoughts,
Sure.
because I mean you didn't really spoil anything, and then we'll go
Yeah, I
straight
was
spoil,
trying
yeah.
trying hard not to be too, but yeah.
Uh, so pretty much, and then we'll say spoiler alert, and go full spoilers from there.
Mhm.
But so pretty much, my expectations were a little high just because of exactly the marketing was so strong with Barbarian. Like even up to the
Mm,
trailer that dropped like right before the film, they did a good job of not showing a single frame that like spoiled that film and how twisty and turny it really truly got.
sure.
And so with this film, I kind of expected it to get just as twisty and turny, and because it kind
Mm,
of without spoiling too much, it doesn't like get too twisty and turny. It kind of just explains the weirdness of like what's happening, but like in a way
mhm.
that like is like very fun and original. Um,
Sure.
and so that's one thing that it's one of those things that like I never would have guessed. Like I kept trying to stop myself from guessing what it might be, and like uh but you just can't help yourself, sometimes. So like
Oh
you start
yeah,
to like think
totally.
about guesses and stuff. So but I never would have guessed like what it ends up being. So we'll give it
Mhm.
like that. But I will just say that, but I would just say as far as like once like you find out what it is, it's like it's just that's how the film just finishes playing out in a very
Sure.
great way. But where Barbarian, it's like you have one crazy twist, and then you move on
Mhm.
to this whole other story, then you move back to this
That
other
is
thing.
true.
So
Yeah.
it's like it twists and turns a lot harder. So like I really expected like kind of that same wild ride.
Mhm.
And so when it didn't do that, like that's I think why, because again, we both only saw this. This is only a I think we're going to be releasing this a week after it actually technically drops.
Yeah.
So like we both only got to see this once. I definitely want to go see it again. I might even go see it again because I got plans to go see Jimmy and Stiggs, which is Joe
Oh
Bago's
yeah.
next film, who did Christmas Bloody Christmas and VFW that
Mhm.
I love, and a bunch of Bliss, a couple other good films. Um, and then of course I'm gonna go see Toxic Avenger coming up, and there's some
Mhm.
non-horror stuff coming up. I want to see like the Smashing Machine, about the UFC
Mhm.
fighter and stuff. So a couple different things. So I might go like try to pull a double feature one day and like check this out again, especially now that Eddington is on VOD. So I'm just gonna buy that
Mhm.
tomorrow on payday because I love Ari Aster. So I'll go ahead and buy that and already have that, so I don't need to go out and see that again. So I might try to
Sure.
catch this again, but no, after one watch, I'm one of the few people that really I do, I feel like the internet is kind of split on this. Well, not really split. I feel like majority loves this film, but there is like a pocket that like I feel like it's 75-25 maybe, like
Mhm.
75% like or love this film, and then there's like 25% that's like this film sucks.
Mhm.
I definitely feel like I'm in the 75%, but maybe on the
Sure.
little bit closer back half. Like I don't love this film, but to me it feels very similar like of how I feel about Jordan Peele's Us. So we're
Dude, I mean, like, I've literally said that multiple times. Like, this movie reminds me of Us in a lot of ways.
Yeah, and it's well the way it's shot kind of definitely like the camera work and stuff feels very
Mhm.
similar, but also just the way that like, and I don't even mean that like kind of story wise or nothing, just the way it makes me feel like
Sure, yeah.
Get Out was something so like unique and special and different than what we had seen at the time. Of course, now you can kind of look back and see like a lot of influences from like Hitchcock or even Twilight Zone stuff, and
Mhm.
like it's still very original, but like you could see more of the influences. But at the time, it was just so different than anything else. And then he followed it up with Us that didn't feel so different and unique, and it's not something too special, but it's very fun and just like I could throw it on any time of the day and just enjoy the ride.
Sure.
To me, and then he followed that up with Nope, which is my favorite of his three films, and not because I think it's the best, but because it's like my personal favorite. Like I've watched it like
Mhm.
7 or 8 times since it's come out. I just love Nope. I think it was a blast, and which again, Nope does the like title card thing like this one does, with the but
Mhm.
just with horse names and stuff. But so it felt very similar in those aspects of like to me Barbarian was something very special. It's going to be in my top 10 of the 2020s. Like it's one of my favorite films. I fucking am so mad. I'm one of those people that is so upset that it hasn't gotten a physical media release, and even bums me out more
What?
that
Really?
yeah, it hasn't gotten one. And just recently, like on a podcast this past week, Zach Cregger said
Mhm.
he has tried, he is on the like he's like, I've heard Twitter, he's like, I'm trying. He's like, I want a physical media release. He's like, and they're not even budging for me. He's like, so please keep your voice out
Dude,
there and stuff.
that's so wild. That's a crazy concept to think that
Yeah,
you
there's
could put
not,
out a movie and they're just like, and it do well, and then just be like,
and then have like
why?
a Twitter fucking storm about it too. Like, I mean, look, I mean,
That's crazy.
I'm a Snyder fan, so like the fact
Mhm.
that I'm not even like bringing up the Snyder cut like salty, but I'm saying like the fact that the Snyder cut was able to happen, I'm like you can't make
Yeah.
fucking Barbarian on a Blu-ray, like what the fuck? So I'm like it's literally just money, like it
Yeah.
can't be that much to put like blue. I don't know. Just for some of the movies that end up in Walmart, I'm like there's no way it could cost that much money to get your
Yeah,
movie put
seriously.
like fucking.
It's probably more to it. There's probably some kind of like legal rights battle or something like that that they're just,
I
nobody
don't know
wants to
because
agree on, but I don't know.
I feel like he would say something, like because he's asked about it, I feel like he might be more willing to be like, "Oh, we can't because, but he's straight up said that he's like trying and like advocating." So, no, it's
Mm,
just Barbarian's one of those, it's like a special film for me. Same thing with Get Out, like because it was 2017, that would probably be, I don't know if it would be my favorite film, like films of the decade just because of my preferences. Like I like funner films, which
sure.
Barbarian is fun. It becomes like a wild thing in the second half.
Mhm. Very
Um
much so.
and Get Out is, but if I were saying like if I were putting together a list of the best horror films of the 2010s, Get Out would be probably top 5, not even top 10, you know
Mm,
what I mean? So,
sure.
it would
Yep.
definitely be top 20 if it was favorites just because like I definitely really enjoy it, but that's where it's like becomes just like preference and stuff though. But
Hmm.
but both of these films to me but like this and Us to me feel like good strong second efforts, didn't miss a beat as far as like I will be seated day one for whatever you do next. You don't even have to tell me what it is. However, I don't feel as strongly about them as I do the first films, you know what I mean? So
Yeah, I think, yeah, there's something about that, and I don't know if I can eloquently say how I feel. Um, but the same thing that Us did for that this movie also felt like for me just kind of reminded me of like a Tarantino film, like there's something about it. And I like his movies. He has movies that are, going to be like extremely memorable for me, but then he has movies where I'm like, dude, that's just like a cool ass crafted film.
no.
I really like that. Um, but other than that, it's not anything that stands out more than any other movie for me, particularly. Whereas like Weapons, I had a blast. I really liked it. But in regards to comparing it with other horror films, it doesn't stand out in a way that I'm like, oh, it needs to move above like a Mandy or, something like that, where I'm just like, I can't stop thinking about it. Like but to be fair, I had such a fun time watching this movie. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what it is that it is, but it just, again, this movie doesn't really feel like there's horrific things that happen in it, but it doesn't feel like a outright horror film to me. So maybe that's why I'm judging it this way. I don't know.
No, I agree 100% because like I mentioned, I saw Together, which I saw
Hmm.
like exactly 1 week before. I went Thursday. Like I go almost every Thursday if I can because that's my day off anyways, and movie release day at this point.
Hmm.
So I went and saw Together literally a week before seeing Weapons, and even to this day, like I'm trying to keep Weapons in my mind, even knowing we're doing this podcast today. But like I couldn't stop thinking, like I can't stop thinking about Together. But
Oh,
I
that's funny.
more than I can think about than I can stop thinking
Hmm.
about Weapons, and that's exactly where I feel like that's exactly how I feel about it. Like it was such a fun ride, but that's why I kind of came out with the that's fine because afterwards
Sure.
it like didn't linger. Like nothing
Hmm.
nothing in it like really stuck with me to the point where I was like, damn, I'm gonna think about that for days. Like it was cool, but like it wasn't like I don't know, like even and kind of to throw another one out there because I mentioned, I'm wearing the hat and I mentioned how much I love him
Hmm.
earlier, but like Ari Aster, like Midsummer's the same way. Like that's a cool, fun
Mm.
ass movie, and I watched the shit out of it to this day. I almost wore a Midsummer shirt on the show today, but I had pit stains, so I was like not doing that on screen. So I was like, hell no. So I love Midsummer, but again, it's one of those that's like it's
Mm.
just a strong, good movie, but it's not like favorite. It's not gonna fall into like my favorites of all time
Mm.
or favorite of the year. It's just very like I don't understand some of the discourse and hate it's getting necessarily, but
Sure.
I don't understand also the people that are like it's a masterpiece because I'm like, it's good, but like even he calls out some of the
Hmm.
stuff that like influenced his and we'll go spoiler alert going forward just so we can go ahead and
Sure.
cut
Yeah.
into the film, but even he like shouts out stuff like prisoners, which I mean pretty much you can see exactly that in Hugh Jackman's character being like Josh
Hmm.
Brolin's character, the dad that can't carry
Oh,
on,
totally.
and Josh
Yep.
Brolin does a great job, but definitely doesn't carry an axe to fucking Hugh Jackman in Prisoners. That movie's fucking so
No,
good.
that movie's insane.
Yeah, and that's such a good movie. And not only that, but he gets a lot. It's not fair to compare because like Hugh Jackman
Sure.
is the character of Prisoners, and like he gets so much screen time.
Sure.
And Brolin is great in this. Like he's literally, I've heard people say he's like stand out. Like it was supposed to be Pedro Pascal. I definitely agree. I could not see that. Like it would not have been
No,
as
not at all.
strong. Yeah, and so like there's similarities in that. And then of course, like he called out Magnolia, which I haven't seen Magnolia, but because for the sake of this, I like looked up the
Oh
trailer and
yeah,
stuff. And
that's right.
because that's a movie I've always heard about, but just never like sat and watched.
It's been a
And
while.
so, but like just watching the trailer, you see exactly what people mean. It's because, and I've listened to podcasts that mention this as well. So I'm not saying this is like exactly an original thought, but people have mentioned that in Magnolia, it's almost like Donnie Darko, like another one of
Hmm.
my favorite movies that,
Mm.
like the camera just never stops moving. You know what I mean? Like every time it shows somebody, like it's either slowly zooming in or like the camera's panning with something, or
Interesting.
it's like the camera never stops. So it's like I see all these influences in this film, and to where like uh, I don't know, it's not a detriment to it, but it just becomes
Hmm.
one of those things where it becomes like a filmmaker that did a good solid first film, kind of like not on his own, of course, because he was still produced by like I think that was
Sure.
what Ronnie Yu and them or whatever it
Yeah.
was that did Barbarian or whatever. They gave him like unlimited budget, or not unlimited
Mm.
budget, but like they pretty much like believed in him because of Barbarian and gave him money to do this film. So it felt like, and he even has said in interviews that like he didn't necessarily have an idea for this film. Like he wrote it like as he would like,
Mhm.
hey, you want to do a film for us? Sure. Like, and then he like came up with this
Sure.
film. And so it's one of those things where I could see where it's somebody kind of in their head as a filmmaker and a quality one at that, going, what's all my inspirations and kind of just like compiling them, like exactly what people called out Tarantino for doing. A lot of people like
Sure.
they just go to further back, directors to where with him it's like, oh no, we see, Gus Van Sant in this, or we see Tarantino in this with him, with Tarantino, people are like, oh, we see Kurosawa or, like stuff like that. So
Sure.
they just go like even further back. So no, I definitely I think that's what keeps this film from completely striking gold for me is and
Hmm.
it also just because it's like it's such a mystery that you spend so much time following the mystery that maybe after a second watch, I could see where this would elevate itself because I can actually sit
Hmm.
back, enjoy it, and have fun. Where like the first time watching this, you're just like, what the fuck is like what? Oh, oh, okay. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Well,
So,
because you start piecing it together, and obviously we're getting into spoilers, but like Justine's character, like I think it's when she goes to the house and you see everything like the newspaper all over the windows, then you're like, okay, truly is wrong with the boy and his family, and that is has to be the root of all of this.
yeah,
But then it dives into the interesting like character plot driven narrative where we're now seeing the different perspectives. So then you do have to take those breaks and be like, okay, well now I need to get a little more information about this person and then, see it. So I do think that like kind of breaks that up a little bit. So you're constantly like, all right, well, what's the next puzzle that they're gonna show us? To then when you get the reveal, which I like the reveal, but if it was more over the top, maybe that would be like, oh, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like Barbarian, when like that went like next level, where you were just like, oh my God, okay.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, like I thought Gladys's character as the villain, like when she finally comes in and talks to like the principal, um, and kind of like introduces herself. Like I thought that was really cool. I thought her look and everything was very interesting. Like I thought it was pretty iconic. Like I'm stoked on it.
Yeah.
Um, and I liked the witch lore of this ritual and everything. It was really cool, but it was also like kind of super simple as far as like what it is. And, and I'm not trying to like belittle, like if they are trying to use any kind of like legitimate folklore for this kind of stuff. So,
Yeah.
but I don't know. Other than that, it's just kind of was what it was, and it doesn't go anything crazier. I will say the standout for me, because I know people are like, "Oh, Gladys's character is so crazy and cool." My favorite is freaking James, the drug dealer guy.
Yeah.
He was hands down my favorite character in the entire movie. Um, I don't know. It was just so funny.
Yeah, I think that's
But
Austin Abrams, which I'm excited because he's supposed to be the front like the main cast member for Zach Cregger's upcoming Resident Evil film. So
oh,
I'm
no
like
way.
the fact that
Interesting.
he's like going to be the front of that, and Zach Cregger pretty much said that his Resident Evil film won't be like a telling of the a story from the games. It's going to be just
Mhm.
like in that universe, but it'll be
Okay,
like a love letter to the games for the fans. Which at this
cool.
point, I'm like, I'm going in with because I know that I'm going in with the thought of Zach Cregger doing a zombie film with the Resident Evil title. Like I'm not worried
Sure.
about Resident Evil part. But he has said that he's gonna go like very in the style of Evil Dead 2. So that has me super excited
Mm.
because this guy was
Mm.
not only the like
Oh
comedic
my God,
relief in this pretty much, but he showed that he can do the humor, the way he's getting thrown around by
dude.
fucking Josh Brolin and stuff, dude.
And him calling the cops and trying to get the reward, dude, had me in stitches so hard. And the fact that manages to stab the same cop twice,
Yeah.
and the second time with more needles, like that was the funniest thing ever. Oh gosh, yeah. Yeah, he was awesome. And I mean Julia Garner's character, she did a good job too. Like
Yeah.
she was a good, believable, like overly like sympathetic teacher that can't seem to like let things go and not get involved. Um, like I believe her character pretty hard. Um, yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I enjoyed the film, but yeah, I guess it's definitely not like it's not gonna crack top five horror for the year for me, probably. I don't know. Well,
Yeah.
I guess it just depends on what happens the rest of the year. But
Yeah, unless I mean, there might be some stinkers, I mean, because there's quite a bit left, but they all have the opportunity to be like either really good or like just kind
mhm.
of mid. Like I'm stoked for Toxic Avenger.
Yeah.
I'm gonna watch the new Conjuring, but I'm like, it could be whatever. But then like after that, I know there's a few things. Like of course, like I watched Silent Night, Bloody Night, or Silent Night, Deadly Night when that drops. But like that's not till Christmas, and that's not something I'm expecting to be in my top of the year.
Mhm.
I just want to watch something fun. But like I can't really think of too much coming up in the back half of the year that I'm like, I mean, him looks really good.
Oh yeah.
Produced by Jordan Peele. I'm excited for that
Mhm.
just as a football fan, like just to see a football
Sure.
horror movie. It's like if it sucks, it sucks, but at least they took a stab at it. Plus Marlon Wayans in True Horror is cool.
Yeah, it looks interesting. For whatever reason, that movie looks like a football version of the movie Neon Demons,
Yeah.
the supermodel movie. I don't know why I get that vibe, but it just has that weird over the top glossy look to it. I'm interested in it. So
Oh, yeah. But no, and to kind of, you know, to use that as a segue, the look of things, and like kind of to piggyback on what you mentioned, like the look of Gladys is like one of my favorite things because there's a few different looks. You know, we got her like when she's
Mhm.
straightforward, but then you also kind of see her as like this fucking weird clown, like
Yeah.
randomly throughout like the woods randomly at that one point when the cops chasing the guy,
Mhm.
James, the drug dealer, or I keep saying drug dealer, but he's just like a druggie who's like stealing stuff and selling it or
Yeah.
whatever. But
He's a
uh,
bum.
yeah, but no, that's one thing I loved about this film though is that it kind of did some like old school, like it doesn't
Mhm.
feel like a horror film necessarily like when you're watching
I know
it.
what you mean.
The horror lands and it's nice and it's like I like all the stuff that like all the horror aspects of it. However, it does a lot of like old school horror things. Like for instance the 217, like that's like
Mhm.
some fucking poltergeist shit where it's like they all
Yeah.
woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning, you know what I mean? Or like same thing with like creating Gladys as a character, like having this villain. It reminds again Poltergeist. It reminds me of like Kane from Poltergeist 2, and
Mhm.
like it just reminds me of like these old school characters that it's like you don't really uh like when you think about the movie, you're not thinking that there's gonna be like this one specific person as a villain. But that's one
Sure.
thing I really truly liked about this movie is I went in like with all my guesses, I was like, it's gonna be the government turning kids into weapons. It's gonna
Mm.
be like the type of thing where it's like kind of infinity pool where they're gonna be like taken and then later let loose as like mindless people that go out and kill or I'm not saying that that's what happens in infinity pool, but I mean as far as like
Mhm.
being turned into those type of like mindless just killers, you know what I mean, like what they use the
Sure.
people the jump form possessor or whatever. But I said infinity pool, I meant possessor. But no, pretty much.
I know what you mean.
But that's what I like is that the fact that it became literally just like a witch and it was one person and she was doing this for like solely like straight like hocus pocus Sanderson sisters type shit. She was like
Sure.
just trying to be young and because of that it like caused this whole town to go awry and stuff like that. So
Well, that's interesting what you say too, because I hadn't really thought about it, but like it would be pretty hard for most films to like make the villain just be a completely unintroduced character for over half the film, even though they kind of tease at it with the, clown face, but like it's not enough to like know like, oh, that's the person or is somebody just having nightmares.
yeah.
But but yeah, I feel like, and then they're just like all of a sudden like, oh, here's the character, and you're like, oh yeah, whoever this is, this this is definitely who it is.
Yeah.
And so, but they do such a good job, and maybe that's just because of the structure of how they're telling the story in chunks of each of the characters that then you can be like, well, now I get to know who this is. But
Yeah.
yeah, so it was successful, and adds to a good surprise. So,
Yeah. Now, and another thing is the fact that like this whole movie is like practical for the most part. I mean, not that there's
mhm.
much gore in it, but the gore that's in it is practical.
Mhm.
And like one of my favorite things, and the only thing I wish I didn't see in the trailer was like when Benedict Wong is like running
Oh
after
yeah.
Justine's character, and he's like got like he just got done headbutting his partner to death, which that part was fucking sick. But then like the way his eyes are so bulged, like I loved that simple yet very effective like design on those people. Like even when like
Sure.
the cop later on, like, when he's getting his face peeled and stuff, his eyes are like bulged out of his
Oh
head.
yeah.
And it's not exactly the same as like, the principal because he like headbutted his partner to death. So he
Mhm.
has like a little bit more bruising and stuff, but still
Sure.
just that simple but effective, like eyes bulging out of their head. It was just like such a good design where it's like they didn't overdo it, but it was like a good take on the, I know these are like it's like witchcraft and stuff, and I don't know exactly what lore they're going off of, but it felt very akin to like White Zombie, like the voodoo zombies and like those
Oh
types of
yeah, yeah,
zombies.
yeah.
Is like so that's another thing is like this film is like low. That's one thing I like about films like this is when they're low key like a witch film, low key a zombie film, like just that type of zombie. You know what I mean? So it's like there's so many things that this film is, but when you went into it, you thought it was just like you went into it knowing it was a
Hmm.
mystery, and it comes out like oh shit, it could be this, it could be like you could
Sure.
categorize this in so many different ways that
Well, and
also
maybe
benefit it.
some of that makes it that much more powerful when it's not so hyper sensationalized. Then it does feel like, well, maybe that could really happen. Like in the way that as kids we had like simple folklores about like, oh, Bloody Mary, like look at a mirror. This did
Yeah.
have like and the intro of the film starts with a kid explaining the narrative, or telling the narration of what's going on to catch you up to speed. So it does kind of have like a children's nursery rhyme, like folklore kind of build to it, which is I think that's kind of cool. But
Yeah.
um and then you mentioned too, like talking about like the old like throwbacks to like some horror, uh aesthetics with like the dream sequences and the creepy clown like face and stuff like that. I want to talk about those dreams because that was something that maybe I'm thinking too hard into it, but did you feel like the dreams were trying to like lead to something more than what they were? Like are like clearly like Josh Brolin's character uh and Julia Garner like they're having these dreams but they're super vivid and very real and giving like kind of clues but like is that is that the aunt that's like causing them to have dreams? Is it just her supernatural presence that's like connecting them because they're tied to the trauma that's happening in the local area? I don't know. There's just something interesting because like why the over the top creepy clown face? Like who is showing that? Like I almost thought for a moment that maybe it was like Alex somehow trying to connect with the adults so they could see the truth. Like somehow he has, maybe some kind of magic because clearly this is his family. So maybe he has some kind of like underlying magic in his family and he's maybe he doesn't even know he's like projecting that out into the world. But I don't know. I was trying to figure out if there's more to the dreams or if they're just like that was just a narrative piece to move along a creepy factor to it all.
No, I'm glad you brought that up because one of the dreams is probably my biggest complaint of the film, and
Oh, interesting.
it's when Josh Brolin like runs out and he sees the fucking machine gun over our house. Like that was a cool
That was really
visual.
interesting.
Like yeah, and it was cool like in the moment, but then once we figure out like how the story plays out, I'm like I just felt like it was too it felt like it was trying way too hard to hammer home the name weapons at that point
Weapons, sure.
because like the only part of that dream that mattered was him seeing which like direction his kid ran, which
Hmm.
again like because like that's my thing is like with these dreams one thing about this film I like is because she's a witch, you can write off any like plot hole.
Sure.
Like I've seen people complain about like, oh well, you're telling me the cops didn't look over the house better. I'm like, she's a fucking witch, dude.
Hmm.
Maybe she like they came to the house and maybe whatever cop came to the house, she like did something to them that made them
Yeah.
think that they checked the house out. So it's like her being a witch kind of is something that I'm able to write off any other like plot holes because you can explain it away as magic took care of that. But
Hmm.
she wouldn't show them these dreams because like she's like giving herself away like in these dreams in a way.
Yeah,
Um
that's what I was trying to figure out. Why would she like be like, come find me? Like
yeah,
clearly she doesn't want them to find her.
but then like
But
the and then like I kind of like the idea like you said of the kid like realizing that he has magic, but he never really shows anything other
mm,
than like at the end of the movie when he like he it's more of like he studied her and like uses what
mhm,
he knows or whatever, um but no, because of that, like that machine gun thing, it makes the dreams feel so like phoned into me, and especially
mm,
because uh like we already get so many like repetitive scenes and stuff like that in the film. Like that's the one problem I have with the like jumping to and from characters is like we get to see some scenes twice, and some of those
sure.
scenes like make sense, and then some of them I'm like, did we really need to see that twice? Like
Hmm.
so that's my thing is that with between that and the dreams, there's certain parts of this film where I just felt like after watching it, I was like, oh, like all that was cool, but like there were certain things that just felt like they were fluffing out a film that didn't need to be fluffed out. You know what I mean? So
Hmm.
and the dreams felt exactly like I've heard people praise the dreams. Like I saw somebody that was like, "Oh, after seeing this film, Zach Cregger should do Nightmare on Elm Street." And I'm like, "What the fuck, Nightmare on Elm Street were you watching?" Because I ain't seen
Yeah,
that
I don't
shit.
know.
But I was like, just because kids were like, just because people were dreaming, like I just hate that. Like when people were like immediately, "Oh, there's dreams, Nightmare on Elm Street." It's like, no,
Hmm.
motherfucker. Like let's wait for Black Phone 2 because that motherfucker looks like he's doing a Nightmare on
Oh
Elm
yeah, it
Street
looks scary.
via Black Phone. But so now I didn't like the dreams because of that reason.
Hmm.
Like I like some of the visuals that we got, like when she's like up on the ceiling, and
Sure.
I didn't hate Josh Brolin's dream. Like I liked the well, I hated his dream because of the weapon part, but I didn't hate the fact that like that's how he saw his kid. Because
Hmm.
you could always even say that that's something that's like because his kid is under the spell, that there's a bit of magic in his kid at this moment. So like
Hmm.
maybe it's even his kid reaching out to him and being like,
Sure.
"I ran this
Interesting.
way," you know what I mean? So it's like there's so many ways to spin like those little things, but doing stuff like having her pop up on the ceiling, like I liked the scene when it happened because I was like, "Oh, that was creepy." But
Hmm.
in retrospect, her popping up on the ceiling and the gun being up there just felt like they were trying to do like weird imagery that didn't
Hmm.
matter and like kind of like if anything just created some weirdness in the story that didn't need to be there,
Sure.
you know. So
Do you feel like the gun was some kind of social commentary that's supposed to be like more like thought provoking than it was, or
that's
I don't know.
exactly that's exactly why I have a problem with it is because Zach
Sure.
Cregger, because again, like I'm one of those people that once I listen, I where I work, I listen to podcasts daily. Like
Mhm.
that's why when I get up here and we talk music, like I have like one new album, like sometimes like maybe two,
Sure,
because
sure.
like I listen to a lot of podcasts, and so I've listened to like three or four different interviews with Zach Cregger, and somebody straight up asked him like about this being a commentary on school shootings, and he said no, like I don't want people to take it that way. Then why the fuck
Interesting.
did you put a gun above a building
Yeah,
in a
it's
dream
so
scene? Like, no,
it's interesting.
so that like made me even more that makes me dislike the scene even more because I'm like, dude, like that's exactly the problem is there's so many ways you can take this film. You could take it as like my
Uh-huh.
biggest takeaway from it is the fact that it's like this is what happens when sometimes you just help people because they're family. And
Mm,
anybody that's not watching, I'm doing
sure,
that in air
sure, sure.
quotes because like they even make the comment where the woman's like, well, my mom would have helped her, so I have to help her. And like,
Yeah.
but it's like, well, look what this got you. Like, not all family is good fucking family. And like I kind of feel like that's maybe where Zach Cregger's story was going with because he says like just like what a lot of people said with Osgood Perkins and Longlegs being about like his dad and like you know his
Sure, sure.
family shit. The, they've said that this Zach Cregger has said that this film is very like personal to him and stuff like that, but hasn't said exactly what. And I can see where that might be the thing where like some of his family is like, you know, like oh you have to love people because they're family, but
Mm,
sometimes that is to the detriment and this and that. And so like but now you have 17 kids go missing and it's kind of like fucking with the entire this and that. Everybody wants an explanation, and that's exactly what a school shooting like pretty much is. Like when something happens where 17 kids die, every
yeah.
parent wants an explanation. They might not, I mean, they don't need to know where their kids are, but they want to know like why somebody would do this and why their kid. So it's
Sure,
like
sure.
so without getting too like too much into like that, it's like to put that imagery of a gun randomly in the movie for no reason at all. Just
And a very specific gun
yeah,
to,
exactly. Yeah.
it's not like it was a Glock, you know? Like,
Yeah, it was fucking yeah, I was just like I just did not like that image. I was like,
mhm,
"Oh, well, that cuz that I feel like it literally is a red herring, but I'm like to
sure.
put a red herring in a dream is kind of a crock of shit. You know what I mean? It's like putting a
Yeah, it's interesting.
it's like having somebody wake up to a jump scare. It's like
Mm.
fuck you, dude. Like like create some actual suspense or something. You know, like if anything, it would have been better to see like if he looked up on the roof and like Gladys was sitting on the roof or something. Because then
Totally. Yeah.
at least you could say that maybe it's just the fact that her magic is like so powerful that it's uh like she like you can because then even then you could write it off because like to go back to her showing up in Justine's dream you could write it off as she's doing like by having 17 kids at once maybe she's overdoing it and her magic is
Mhm.
spilling out into the town so people are
Sure.
like getting warnings because it's not like not even by and like this is just us like that's one thing I
Sure.
like about films like this is like
Mm.
they don't have to write all this stuff we get to talk it out and figure it out and like create our own theories but like you could easily write away a lot of stuff but it's just a gun just makes no sense when it
Yeah.
like not a single gun is used in this film, even by the cops.
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong too, because James's character sees her in the woods as a creepy clown, but
Yeah,
it's like when he's running from the cop, but he hasn't made any kind of introduction to her yet, right?
yeah.
Or no, he has. He has seen the house. Because
Oh yeah, he tried to
that's
break
right.
into it. Yeah.
That's right. So maybe it's just because he's now closely tied to it, he's
Oh wait,
freaking out.
no,
But
no, he hasn't seen the house yet, has he? No.
because I thought when he gets the because then he's freaking out about the clown, like thinking like he's gonna protect himself, and then the cop busts into the tent and he stabs him with the needles, and then he's like, "I could take you to where the kids are." You know, that's when he
Yeah.
like,
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, because that's when it switches to his thing, and he knows where the kids are. So then
yeah, because he's gonna give the
he
reward.
goes to
That's right.
tell.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So that has to be why. So it's
but he told him not to come around because he punched him. So he was like, when he walks
yeah,
up, he's like, "You get the fuck out of here."
yeah. But he goes into that house and he hasn't met Gladys, right? He's only like uh presented with the people and then he sees the kids in the basement, you know, and he's like, "Oh God," you know, gets the hell out of there kind of thing. So,
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, it's interesting. Um
Yeah, and for her to play mind tricks makes no sense because like it's obvious that she has to be hands-on. Like she needs your hair, she needs this or that.
mhm.
So
Yeah.
like the way that
Hmm.
she plays Benedict Wong's character and his like partner makes way more sense. Shout out to the Seven
Sure.
Hot Dogs, which
That
was
was so funny.
which was a reference to Trevor Moore because there's a skit in
Oh,
the
really?
Whitest Kid You Know where he's like a doctor and the guy's like he like says something about eating 7 hot dogs and
Oh, that's so
he's
funny.
like 7 hot dogs a day. He's like yeah. He's like that's not healthy. He's like
A whole week, average per day would be something like, I don't know, seven?
7 hot dogs
7, yeah.
a day.
Is that high?
It's a little high.
Is that bad?
Well, not good.
it's like
I love that. I was like, yeah. I was like, as soon as that scene came out, I was like, got that dog in him.
right yeah fuck yeah having a fucking glizzy Sunday fucking who needs a brunch when you
Seriously.
can have a glunch yeah.
Uh-huh. I will say my favorite thing outside of James, the very end chase scene where
Oh
the
yeah.
tables get turned and the kids are just smashing through windows and doors, and I couldn't stop thinking about like how fun it would have been to be the stunt actors. I'm assuming they hired like kid stunt actors to jump through like the crystal, sugar glass, prop windows and stuff. But holy shit, that was the funnest segment in a long while that I've seen. And then, of course, they just rip her head in half like Victor Crowley style. And then I almost for a second thought they were gonna like start dancing around the
Yeah.
aunt like it was like a sprinkler of blood, in the front yard, a bunch of kids just dancing in blood or whatever, but it didn't quite go there, but it was close.
No, I was the only thing missing was My Hero by Foo Fighters playing as they were in it's like
Yes.
I felt
That
very
would have been
Ferris
sick.
Bueller's Day Off on fucking
Yeah, dude, totally.
that
But
would have been
yeah,
a cool ending if they were like sprinkling it.
yeah.
That's the one thing another kind of small gripe I had
Mm,
was I would have liked it kind of just to end. I don't really care for the fact that when it ended, it like felt the need to be like, and the kids never like started. Some of them are starting to talk to this day, and this and that. And I mean, I
yeah,
guess it's a good bookend considering the
sure.
beginning. Like now that I'm thinking about the beginning itself, but
Mhm.
by that point in the movie, we had seen so much that I'm like, I didn't need the fairy tale part to come back in. You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah, it does. It wraps up in a nice enough bow, but then also leads some open-endedness like, okay, the kid goes to stay with a nice aunt. So what's that story? Or like it even got me thinking like, is the kid like the kid? Well, I know the narration said like some of the kids even started talking again. So part of me was like, well, does Alex have the power now? Like, is
Yeah,
he like pseudo able to control these kids? Because half of those kids were assholes to him.
yeah,
So maybe he's like, well, I don't know, he's got to be traumatized. So,
yeah.
but yeah, I don't know.
Oh, yeah. Now, and speaking of where the story goes as far as, like him going off with the other on stuff, I don't know if you saw, but they're already talking about doing a prequel based on Gladys
Oh,
herself. Uh,
mm, interesting.
what do you think about that? And who would you cast as Gladys as a prequel? Because it would have to be prequel.
But could they do it so it's because the actress that played Gladys, I know it's the wife from like Field of Dreams. I can't think
Yeah,
of her name. I feel like she had a good amount of makeup that they could probably use the same actress. But I don't
yeah,
know. I mean, I don't know how early we're talking prequel. Are we talking prequel in the sense that, like Alex's mom is a teenager or something like that, and it's that far back, or are we talking like 2 years before all of this happens, So,
yeah. They might try to
so
cash in on Pearl and be like, let's make her young as we can.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't know who you would pick for that. That would be,
There's a few people out there I think could be pretty good. Maybe Zoe Dutch or Deutsch, however you say it, the one from she was in Zombieland 2, I think.
I thought you were gonna say Zoe Deschanel.
Oh no, she's probably too old, but she'd be. I
Yeah,
mean, just
yeah. Again,
it,
it depends on how far back you go.
yeah. No, I love somebody else that I was
I know
thinking
who you're
of.
talking about. Um,
And somebody else, but that's a hard one to cast, no, for sure, because it's one of those that I guess it really does depend on when they're going back. And there's some people that like would be good casting, but also have fatigue, like me. Goth would be a good
hmm.
cast, but like
What about oh gosh, not thinking of her name, and I promise I'm not just picking on her because she has red hair, but the actress from Orange is the New Black, and she's got really like curly red hair. She's got like a super New York accent, talks like this, you
What,
know.
Natasha Leone?
Yeah. Yeah. I
Oh,
could see her having like if it doesn't go too far back, I could see her doing like the voice and mannerisms
yeah.
pretty well. Um, or just let Justin Long do
Yeah. Oh yeah, fuck. We didn't even talk about that cameo,
it.
dude. The
Yeah.
fact that he showed up, I was like, let's go. Scream King in the fucking place, dude.
And laughing so hard at his one main motive was like, oh, sweet, this dumb dad's home. Like, I'll just ask the same question and he'll tell me yes.
Yeah.
I'm not going to talk to a wife. I was laughing so hard. I'm like, this is classic. But yeah, I don't know who I would cast her. But yeah, that's crazy. I mean, at the end of the day, it sounds like this movie did pretty damn good in the box. So with this not being a Blumhouse film, like I'm all for, you know, an
Yeah.
original horror film doing well. I think it's good for the industry, especially when Hollywood is in such a weird place. But so I'm definitely not upset by this movie. Love the movie. Just didn't love it in the sense of like how I would categorize a horror film.
Yeah.
And I mean, you even mentioned Sinners. Like Sinners is probably my favorite movie of the year, but I wouldn't put it as my favorite horror film because to me that's just like a cool like I don't know
Yeah.
like I don't know. So, but
It's enough of a horror film that like when I do my top 10 of the year, I'm gonna consider it a top
sure,
10 horror film. But if I were categorizing them like on the horror aspect, it definitely wouldn't be able to be my top. Like I'm right there with
sure,
you.
sure,
Like
sure,
the horror part of it is not my favorite part of the movie at all. So
sure. Yeah.
yeah, no, I 100% agree. Weapons is one of those movies that kind of the same way. It's like if I were ranking my just favorite films of the year, this might be higher because take the like if I was taking the horror films out of it because
Mhm.
uh. Horror is my favorite genre, so of course those are my favorite films of the year. So
Sure.
most of the time when I'm ranking them and I'm like, these are my non-favorite horror films of the year, those are still like ranked behind the horror films.
Mhm.
But no, this is definitely one that like if I were ranking my non-favorite horror films of the or favorite non-horror films of the year, this would probably be like top two or three.
Mhm.
But with all the horror stuff mixed in, it's probably like bottom five. But no, I really enjoyed it. And my only gripe with the prequel thing is the fact that it's like we've already proven fucking let established directors do original shit. Every time Jordan Peele does
Amen.
something, it does well. Every time Ari Aster does something, it does well enough. His shit's a little weirder and longer, so it's harder to kind of land on like that. But Robert Eggers, everything does well.
Mhm.
You know, Ty West, everything did well. So it's like these directors have, and Ty West, I mean, his is a little different because he did a franchise, he did like a trilogy. But even then, it's like I feel like he's because of X and Pearl and even Maxine being like a lot of people's least favorite, he could go out now and be like, oh, another film from Ty West, I'm there.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
So Mike Flanagan, Osgood Perkins, shit, Osgood Perkins has two films coming out within a year of each other, and they're not related like X and Pearl was. So.
Sure.
No, there's just so much good shit in horror right now. I just would love them to just stop trying to do IPs. Like that's another thing is like as much as I'm excited for Zach Cregger's, that's the one problem is they want him to return to weapons, and he's doing Resident Evil. I'm like, first of all, he does
Just do
not need to
something
go
new.
backwards to weapons, and second of all, just let him do a zombie film and don't slap an IP on it. Like
Mhm.
I don't know. So I'm excited to see what he does, but I'm like going into it without like I'm just thinking about it as a zombie film. I'm not trying to attach the Resident Evil shit to it. So, and that's
For sure.
exactly why. Just let him do some original shit. But
Amen. Preach, brother.
preach it, damn it. Go back to Sinners. Everything reverts back to Sinners. But no, hell yeah. But I'm glad we got to chat about this. I mean, it was a little bit of on a whim, so sorry if we missed anything that anybody's uh screaming at their computer screens or their iPods or iPod Nanos. Are we on shuffle? I don't know if we're on shuffle yet. So, but no,
Maybe.
but no, if we missed anything, definitely just let us know in the comments if you're watching on YouTube or Spotify, and then make sure you leave a rating, subscribe, whatever's
Mhm.
clever for every listening. But
Write a letter. Write a letter and mail it in. I don't know where to mail it in. Make sure it's all in cursive and don't go outside the margins.
look up Toxic Coffins PO Box office. Nah, other than that, I do want to remind people that we do have horror movie trivia coming up August 27th. We'll be in Virginia Beach at Keegan's Irish Pub. It'll be a blast. Come out, starts at 8 p.m. Free to play. Teams of one to
Mhm.
six. You can play solo or bring five friends. And then also, I know I'll be out there all weekend at Tidewater Horror Convention next month. It's a month away.
Mhm.
September 12th, 13th, and 14th. Be hosting some panels. Steven is more than invited to be there.
Mhm.
We're just waiting on schedules and stuff to
Yeah.
know if you'll be with me or not. But definitely be out there at least one day, probably, right? So,
Yeah, it should be. I know soccer's going to be kind of starting to rule my world as far as like coaching and stuff like that goes.
yep.
But I don't think that whole weekend is filled with that. So,
Oh, yeah. And if anything, bring Penelope too, and she can chill,
yeah.
enjoy the con for a day. So, no, hell yeah, we'll be out there. Well, I'll be out there all weekend, giving out free stickers and shit like that and doing some panels. Got the 45th anniversary of Friday the 13th, Part 5, my favorite, as well as interviewing one of the guys that did Friend of the Clown and Clown in the Cornfield, Lou Temple, and
Mm.
Barney Berman. So, hell yeah.
Ooh.
Well, appreciate you, man. Enjoy soccer tonight, and we'll be back at it in a couple weeks.
Yeah, man. I will chat with you next